Leaders of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, are meeting in Washington for the powerful military alliance's 75th anniversary summit. And as expected, the agenda is dominated by the war in Ukraine and calls for members to increase their spending on defense. This year's gathering includes Sweden, which abandoned its military neutrality to join NATO following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. US President Joe Biden has pledged 5 new strategic air defense systems for Ukraine in a forceful speech welcoming NATO leaders to Washington, D.C. Biden declared the military alliance more powerful than ever as it faces a pivotal moment in the war between Russia and Ukraine. Biden said the US would partner with Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and Romania to donate Patriot missile batteries and other advanced systems to aid Ukraine as Russia continues to launch air attacks, including one on Monday which hit a children's hospital in Kyiv. The city's mayor said Monday's bombardment was among the worst since the beginning of Russia's invasion in February 2022. During his speech, Biden vowed that the United States will make sure that when we export critical air defense interceptors, Ukraine goes to the front of the line. They will get this assistance before anyone else gets it, he said. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he would fight for decisive actions from the United States and Europe to help Ukraine. He said it is not only our country that needs it, everyone needs it, literally every partner, all nations. The Ukrainian president said he would ask for more air defense systems, F-16 fighter jets and additional security guarantees, including weapons and finances, political support. A day before Biden's announcement, Russian strikes across Ukraine killed at least 22 people, including a strike on the country's largest children's hospital. Biden called the strikes a horrific reminder of Russia's brutality. 2.5 years into the war with Russia, Zelensky has repeatedly asked allied nations to strengthen his country's air defenses to thwart Moscow's military prowess overhead. The United States has been a crucial ally to Ukraine since the war began, but the future of the alliance has now been thrown into question. Former President Donald Trump has said he would pressure Ukraine into a peace deal with Russia that would see Kyiv cede territory in the process if he wins the presidency. Earlier this year, Trump controversially said he would allow Russia to do whatever the hell they want with countries that don't meet NATO defense funding obligations. The Ukrainian president has said he cannot predict what Donald Trump would do if elected to a second term as US president this November, and that he doesn't know Trump well, but he hopes that America's support to Kyiv would not change. In his speech, Biden said all we allies knew before this war, Putin thought NATO would break. Today, NATO is stronger than it's ever been in its history. Meanwhile, when asked to comment on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 2-day visit to Russia, which has made global headlines and also raised eyebrows, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said, "We believe India's long-standing relationship with Russia gives it the ability to urge President Putin to end his brutal war, an unprovoked war in Ukraine. India is a strategic partner with whom we engage in full and frank dialogue, including their relationship with Russia, and we've talked about this before. It's critical that all countries, including India, support efforts to realize an enduring and just peace when it comes to Ukraine. President Putin started the war and he can end the war." The US State Department, on the other hand, talked about its concerns over India-Russia ties. Spokesperson Matthew Miller told reporters the US has been quite clear about its concerns over India's relationship with Russia. He said, "We've expressed those concerns privately and directly to the Indian government and continue to do so, and that has not changed." Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder said India and Russia have had a relationship for a very long time. From a US perspective, India is a strategic partner with whom we continue to engage in dialogue, including on their relationship with Russia. Prime Minister Modi's meeting with Putin has drawn sharp criticism from Ukraine and the United States. In fact, Ukrainian President Zelensky wrote an angry tweet while sharing pictures of Russia's missile attack on a children's hospital on Monday. He wrote, and I quote, It's a huge disappointment and a devastating blow to peace efforts to see the leader of the world's largest democracy hug the world's most bloody criminal in Moscow on such a day. The reference was to viral images of Prime Minister Modi and President Putin greeting each other with a hug at the latter's official residence on the first day of the visit. On Tuesday, during his talks with President Putin at the Kremlin, Prime Minister Modi said, "I believe no peace can be found on the battlefield and solutions to the war can only be found through dialogue." He added, whether it's terrorism or conflict, loss of lives, especially of innocent children, is heartbreaking. President Putin and I have spoken frankly, and I want to tell the international community that is closely watching our meeting that I'm filled with hope from his words and thinking. Today as well, during his meeting with the Austrian Chancellor in Vienna, Prime Minister Modi referred to the Ukraine war, saying, "I've said it before and I'm saying it again. This is no time for war. No solution can be found on the battlefield. No matter where it happens, loss of innocent lives is unacceptable. Dialogue and diplomacy is the only way towards restoration of peace, and India is willing to assist with the peace efforts in any way possible." Now, in 2022, just months after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Prime Minister Modi had told Putin this is not an era of war. Zelensky had met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi just last month on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Italy, seeking support for the peace process. At the peace summit in Switzerland that followed, India sent an official delegation but did not sign the outcome statement, while taking the position that both the main parties to the war, Russia and Ukraine, should be at the table for a successful resolution of the conflict. Analysts say Prime Minister Modi's visit to Moscow in the face of strong opposition from the West indicates an unmistakable shift on part of New Delhi to work more closely with Russia, especially at a time when growing closeness between Russia and China has emerged as a grave source of concern for the country.